Hey, what's going on? Zach Miller here with Hatch, and I wanted to kind of document the whole process of something that we're going to do here at Hatch. And so we've done a lot of events in the past, probably 200 or so, and we've always spent a lot of upfront time doing them, or we've spent time, elongating that process and saying, okay, for Start Norfolk, we're going to announce at the 90 to 100 day mark, and then, we'll probably have spent 2 to 4 weeks preparing it beforehand. We just got done with the State of the Startup Community Address last Thursday and went through about a week, went really well, kind of like what's next steps? Is it trying to get people to go through our 1004 program, our online classes, at more events? Initially it was, okay, I don't want to do another event immediately. Let's just not do one until Start Norfolk. And then on Friday morning at 6 a.m., I was laying in my bed trying to figure out, what was next. And I think this is something that a lot of people probably don't think about is, what is next? And, you could have this great plan, but is it something that you really want to do, or what are the next steps? And so this whole notion of, championing businesses, or the no whale hunting thing has really seen some crazy amounts of efforts, people talking about it, and it's been really good, and people seem to like the bold statement. And so I'm sitting there meditating, as I do 3 or 4 times a week, just trying to figure out, what do we do? And so I was like, okay, we do these things really good. I don't want to do something that's going to take me forever to have to plan. I don't want to have this lull of no sales in between. Like, so with Start Norfolk or other big events, when we announce it, there's a lot of sales the first week, there's a lot of sales the last week, but then unless we incentivize people in the middle, there's basically no sales. And so the idea is, what can we do to get things out quickly and then get people really excited about it in a small little event? So the idea is to put together an event, and originally the event was, okay, what do we do? What do we do? And I kept thinking, oh, the event is do, right? It's we do a lot of things, and so how can we execute on do? And so I'm sitting there, and then now I'm in the shower, and I'm thinking, okay, oh, hopefully I don't forget these things. So I keep saying it, and I keep talking about it, and we're 7 minutes into the idea at this point. And so it was, okay, we're going to do a conference on execution, and then what about people when they're struggling? What do they go through? Okay, so resiliency. So a conference about executing and being resilient. All right, and we're going to call it do. And so I get to work, I throw the idea, or I before I get to work, after my shower, I open up my computer and write a few notes and say, okay, this is what we want to do. We want to have it 4 hours. It's going to be from this time to this time. It's going to be this day of the week. And then throw it around to a couple people, see what they think. And so what's interesting is, do a conference on execution and resilience. And so what we found was that do wasn't the right name. And so we've only told a handful of people at this point. And Dave, my designer, I told Jeremy and Eric and maybe 2 or 3 other people. And so the idea was that do wasn't good. It's about execute. So why don't you call the conference Execute? So we did. And so instead of focusing on creating a really pretty landing page and how we're going to sell tickets, it's really simple. I threw up a very easy to see site on Eventbrite that takes the ticket prices. I started reaching out to people that I thought had been through this process before. And so I wrote an email to someone and said, hey, what's your phone number? Because I had their email but not their phone number. And said, can you call me? I want to run something by you. And so 3 minutes later, this lady calls me, and I said, this is what I want to do, and I'd like to have a conference around it, small little conference around it. Are you interested in speaking? And she said yes. And so our first speaker's there 4 hours into the idea, and so that's Judy from Apicab. She's been very resilient over the last few months of the whole Uber, Lyft, Apicab, Virginia State, the stuff that's going on in the state of Virginia with taxis and Uber and Lyft and what's right and what's wrong. And so she's been really resilient in her company to do that. And so 4 hours in, I had a concept, and I said, okay, what am I going to have to do to get this done? And I said, okay, this is it. And then so I knew someone else that I wanted to speak who's grown his business, Jeremy Johnson. And I went up to him, who's actually behind me, and I said, I don't think anyone knows your story. Can we have people learn about it? And so decided to do that and say, hey, will you do this? This is the story that I want you to do. And then he reached out to John Porter of Handsome Biscuit and said, I'm doing a conference on execution. I want you to tell the story how you opened Handsome Biscuit. And the story is incredible because he was very resourceful and one of the most resourceful people I know. Put in a lot of sweat equity into it. Didn't have a lot of money to start the business up front, but had a lot of sweat equity to put into it, and now they're crushing him. And then we have also Daniel, who moved here from Croatia, has a company in Virginia Beach. And those are just the 4 that we have right now. So by the end of the night, we're probably 18 hours into the idea. I have 4 speakers landed. I actually have a ticket sold, and all I did was put it up on Eventbrite. And so I didn't do anything with it. And so I reached out to a couple other people, still waiting to hear back if they'll speak. But we're from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. is probably the last time I thought about it on Friday night. So that's 14 hours. And I have a sale, a site up, and I have 4 speakers, and I figure out what the name is and all those things. And so it is about execution. So I wanted to document this because this is what you have to do to execute. You can't sit there and say, if this, then what, right? So we found in our research, from our own research, that when we launch things on Tuesdays, they do the best. So it's Monday and it's 11:51 a.m. And so there's 1 or 2 things that we're really waiting on to do. I'm going to put together an email saying, you're invited. There's 50 spots available. That's it. And then we're going to do an early bird price for 2 weeks if all 50 tickets don't get sold. And then we will push out. We're going to create a nice little logo because we're going to do shirts and things like that. But execution is about doing, right? And if you don't do, or you're not pushing through to do something, the results that you want won't happen. So just like this conference is saying, you have to execute. And if you want something to happen, you can't just put it out there and think that it's going to work. Even the wealthiest and the most famous of people still have to work to get their brand out there, their message out there. And so I think it's important for us to document this, and that's why we're here today. And so I didn't touch this on Saturday or Sunday at all. And so this morning I haven't really thought about it until I got out my email for my weekly calendar email by 9:15. So didn't really talk about this until 10 a.m. So we're 2 hours into it. And so 16 total hours of stuff that I've worked on this, and we're going to push it out. So there'll be more of this documentation of how this has happened, but I think it's important for people to realize what goes on when you actually have to execute. Executing is doing. And so that's it right now. We're going to announce in 22 hours or so, probably 10 a.m. On Tuesday, February 2nd. And so we're excited to do this and see where it goes. So be on the lookout for Execute. And we probably won't push this video until after, but Execute is coming, a conference about execution and resiliency. No whale hunting forever, telling the stories of local businesses and its owners through their execution and resilience to push through no matter the climate. That's what we came up with. And so if you believe and you want to execute, check it out. I'm going to go execute.